so much fun. All right. Let's make sure we're good. Excellent connection. Let's go ahead and slide this so we can get the scene started up.
What we do here is
might as
go
well get
back.
the music going, too. Why not? We're live. What's up? I am here. I'm going to write something down really quick with my clicky pen and then address the audience. What's up, guys? I'm Chaz, your host. This is Talking Sith. I'm finally... I only had one episode before this, so I shouldn't say finally, because that makes me feel like I'm putting guilt on you. But Adam's here.
What's up, guys?
And we're back. The original duo. It was a trio, and then we kind of lost Jared, but he stuck around a little bit, and then it just became the two
Always
of us
two
for
there
a
are.
while. For a while. And what good times we had, my man. What good times we had. But we're back, guys, with new episodes, new content, and a new way of streaming to you. Before, we would do like this way of like we would stream our gameplay and we would talk to you. But now, what we're doing is we're kind of, as you can see, we have like more of a traditional podcast going now, which is awesome. And I'm really glad to get Adam's back. We had Andy last week, which was fun, but it's just not the same. No shade, Andy. A little bit of shade, but no shade. Just a little bit.
I will throw all the shade at Andy.
It's like a gosh darn tree. There's so much shade being thrown around. We're here to talk about The Mandalorian today. I talked about that last week a little bit. We were gonna talk about episode 1, or if we want to be specific, chapter 9. So I feel like I'm at. This is probably terrible. I'm gonna get in trouble for this one. I feel like I'm at like a church service where it was like, please turn your pages. Chapter 9.
Open your hymnals to page 384.
Exactly. I'm excited because first off, I'm excited because, like I said, the podcast backs, and that's incredibly exciting. But I'm also excited because this season I said this last time, but I'll say it again. It started fast, and it ended fast. There were no slow episodes, like at all.
Ooh, I might have lost you.
Oh, are you still
Can you
there?
still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you. Can you hear me?
It's like you're at the end of a hallway, a really long hallway. Let me make sure I'm good.
The issue is that the sound starts.
The Human Torch was denied a bank loan. Nope, I can't hear you. Hold on.
All right, I think we might have lost Adam for a second there. He's in on Skype, just the audio. Let's see if we can get him back. Hey.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
I like very faintly, but it's better than it was a second ago.
Okay. Yeah, the issue is that with the Skype it tends to loop around a bit. So we kind of had to work around that last time. Like I said, the good thing is that when it outputs out to YouTube, it doesn't do it, which is good. So but it is
man,
kinda,
as long as YouTube gets it.
yeah, it is kind of frustrating because you kind of have to wait till I stop going to answer. But yeah, so chapter 9, we started off back on Tatooine, back with that curly haired. Oh, I'm sorry. We actually started. I don't know what planet it was, but it was that really cool mob scene. With
the garbage planet with John Leguizamo.
Yes, Gore Koresh. I wrote down his name. I'm a prepared host of a show. Gore Koresh. Yeah, that was really fun. The Gamorrean guards fighting in like prize fights and Star Wars universe is really cool. I thought that was awesome. And then what was really cool too I thought was like how the word of the man of Mandalorian is getting out there. So like he sits down and he's like, "Oh, this is no place for a child." And he's like, wherever I go, he goes." He's like, "So I've heard."
Right.
So like, there's just stories going around like, dude, this crazy dude with a helmet and a baby is like going everywhere and murder. Like, it's really cool that like the word of him is kind of getting out before he gets to places. But it also makes it dangerous, clearly, because they're trying to get his Beskar. Which I don't know why people keep trying to challenge him for that. It doesn't seem to go well when people try to get his Beskar off of him. But yeah, what do you think of the Gamorrean guard scene? What do you think of that whole scene in general?
It was cool. I mean, it reminded me a lot of I don't know, like Nar Shaddaa or something from the games, where it's. I'm curious to know what those red eye things were at the very beginning. I don't know. They reminded me of like Corellian hounds from the old book series. I really have no idea what they could be, but those things were sick, and they seem to freak out Baby Yoda a little bit. And I like that they returned to having big name guest stars without making it obvious who that guest star was. Like in season 1, they had Jason Sudeikis as the stormtrooper,
Yeah, that
but
was
no
awesome.
one knew he was in it.
I
And
want
this one, they
more
had
of
John
that.
Leguizamo, and no one knew he was in it. And
Yeah.
even afterwards, I was like, which one was he? So it's kind of cool that
even Mark Hamill when he played the robot.
in it.
That was
right,
cool.
right, yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I thought it was neat. The fact that they're using like vibro weapons instead of like truly lethal weapons was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
It was a cool opener for the second season for sure.
Yeah. Oh,
and it had that vibe,
so cool.
That saloon western, like everybody shuts up, and looks at what's about to go down vibe. It was it reminded me a lot of the parts of Mandalorian that aren't not Star Warsy, that are more like a western or like a comic book or something.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it reminded me like of and I know that John, because I of course watched the gallery when they did the making of. I thought they were gonna do multiple episodes again. They only did the one, so I was kind of bummed.
The only one, yeah.
Yeah, that was a bummer. But in that he was saying like he wanted to kind of be like a mob scene, And I definitely got that feeling where he's like, sit down, enjoy, relax. He had that like really cool gangster feel about him. But he was ugly, like almost like gosh, that's terrible because I watched all those mob movies. That Tony Salerno, he was an actual mobster. So if there's mobsters like related to him, I hope you don't watch our show. But he looked like he was just big, like scary looking whatever guy. So that's what it reminded me of. Like a scary mobster dude who's like, he shoots his own fighter because he might not win, and yeah, that was cool.
Right.
And yeah, the end of that scene with the, now you got me wanting to call them Corellian hounds now, but I know that's not what they are. Yeah. I don't know what they are, but they're really cool. I was really like, and of course the walk away. You gotta love the walk away, where he's like, that wasn't part of the deal. And shit, oh come on, shoots the lights out. You gotta love it. I mean, it's so Western and it's so cool. It's so Clint Eastwood.
I like the wasn't part of a deal line too.
Yeah.
Being a callback to Empire and stuff.
Yes.
It just shows, he doesn't always deal with morally upright people. A lot of times he's dealing with scum and people who
and villainy.
But he still doesn't like outright kill people. Like
no.
In that episode where they broke into the prison.
Yes.
He doesn't outright kill anybody. He leaves them there to rot. But it's just interesting. He still has his own code and his own sort of weird, thing that he follows. Even when he's dealing with people who were literally just holding a gun to him. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was.
I love that he didn't make the move.
He did the whole walk away because he's not going to save him. But he's also, he doesn't need to busy himself with killing him.
Yeah. It's not worth the time. It's just easier. Right. I'll just let the dogs do it. Yeah, that was awesome. That was so cool. And like you said, I think it is cool to his character in the sense of like he doesn't just kill people. I mean, he lives by a moral and really not only does he live by this moral code, they were gonna try to take his Beskar, and the minute you threaten the Beskar, it's game over. Like it's game over. Like don't threaten the Beskar.
And you can't take the kid.
Yeah, yeah. Don't touch my armor and don't touch my kid. And you're good, and you're on his good side. And then he'll hang out with you. You guys could like chill out in hot pools while the kid eats your frog eggs. It's awesome. But
right.
That's an episode down the line. But yeah, no, that whole opening scene was great, and the way it ended it, and the one thing I think was really cool was, unless you watch Star Wars Rebels, it's the first time we've seen graffiti in Star Wars live action, which is really cool because it was, if you look, it's like you can see like the layers. I paused the scene because after I heard them talking about it in the gallery, I was like, I have to check this out more. And you can see like the way the artist did it, it's like layers of time. So like the oldest looking stuff is like from the Clone Wars era of like, you know, screw the Republic. And then all the way to like having these crossed out, you know, pictures of the Imperials. I thought that was really a really cool little or backdrop to that episode, especially because it gave that feel of like he's in a garbage city. Especially like think about places like Coruscant and things like that are pristine and you know, and you're in this terrible.
Until you get to the lower levels, right?
Yeah, until you're in the lower levels, right? Yeah, but it's like mucky and gross, and that graffiti really gave that set up the whole mob scene where he's clearly in the bad part of town, you know. But yeah,
for sure, yeah.
And that's what's so great is they've been, like I said, each episode's been starting fast and ending fast, and even the parts that slow you down make you think. It's been great. And so next we roll into Tatooine after we had a moment with oh gosh, come on, Chaz. Say her name one more time. Do you know her name?
Sedaris.
Curly hair.
Yeah, she was on Strangers with Candy. She's so funny. Chris actually loves her.
She's very. Oh, she was the principal. Or no, she was the girl, right?
She was
like the main character.
Her and what's his face were like the main two people, and then she's also on well, she's on a bunch. She's just a really hilarious comedian. But
and you know what? Let's take a second because we're sitting right in front of her, and she really is very funny. So it's like we gotta at least get her name right. But yeah, so we roll in and we realize from her back at Tatooine that we need to go to Mos Pelgo. Now that's when
that's when it started feeling like a Western.
Yes, that's when we're back. Amy Sedaris. Oh my God, I forgot Stephen Colbert was in that show.
Stephen Colbert, man, yeah.
That's so funny. I haven't watched that show in so long. Oh my God. Anyway, this is why I miss you, because we always get off on the worst tangent. But oh gosh, where were we? Oh yeah, Tatooine. We're on Tatooine. We finish up this little exchange with her. We go over to Mos Pelgo, and like you said, this is where it really does turn to that spaghetti western feel. And especially, I mean, he literally like rolls into town. You know what I mean? It couldn't have been
staring at him.
Yeah, I mean, we were just missing a tumbleweed. That was it. You know,
right.
Like it was basically that scene. And for deep lore fans like myself, and Adam, it was really nice because when he said Mos Pelgo, all of a sudden my brain clicked and I was like, where have I heard Mos Pelgo before? I've heard this. Yeah. And then I realized I had heard it from the Aftermath series recently because I was re-going through that and listening to it, not reading it, because I don't know. What sane adult has time to read nowadays? Ridiculous. Right. Ridiculous. Audiobooks, people. audiobooks. But I was listening to it, and yeah, it was used to be called Freetown, and then they moved it back to Mos Pelgo once Cobb Vanth came back in and wiped out all the. But the irony of it was called Freetown, but they were using the people as mining slave labor. And then
Right.
and then yeah, and then Cobb Vanth comes in, gets the you saw that. So if you did watch it, you saw that part. So we did at least get his origin and to how he got the armor and how he was able to clean out the town and it became Mos Pelgo again. But yeah, we roll into Mos Pelgo and
we see a Weequay.
We see a Weequay. Yeah, that was cool. Weequay bartender. They're always drinking blue stuff. Do you think Spotchka's...
Yeah, he's drinking, like, it's like straight up Gatorade. It's not even like blue milk or like steaming or spacey or anything. It's just Gatorade or Kool-Aid in a glass jug.
Yeah, they're always drinking that blue stuff, and it's always like, oh, Spotchka or whatever. Do you think that's like they're drinking it on those desert planets because they don't have? Do you think it's like their Gatorade?
I think it's probably like extra, similar to Gatorade, like extra electrolytes or whatever they need to keep their energy up and not expend as much as they would otherwise. But I do think there's probably like a canonical way to link it back to they need their protein and salt and electrolytes and stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. Sure, I always get way too
delicious. It looked good.
It does look. Anything blue looks good though.
Yeah, sure.
It's going back to your like childhood like instinct of like, that Jolly Rancher's blue. It must taste delicious.
Oh yeah, dude. Blue Jolly Ranchers, blue milk, blue waffles.
Exactly.
Sorry, no, not blue waffles. Don't Google it.
Blue waffles.
Oh, yeah, no,
do you remember the Pop-Tarts that had Wildberry and they were blue and then they had like the purple across them?
Yeah.
See, everything good was blue.
That's different.
Everything good is blue. But yeah,
it was cool because he came in the Boba armor, and there were so many rumors about Boba Fett being in this season of The Mandalorian. So everyone was like fully anticipating it, and then for him to come in that quickly in full Boba armor, which we never saw Boba take off. Once he had it, we saw Jango remove his helmet, but we never saw Boba take off the armor. So it was that was pretty cool. And then the first thing he does is takes off the helmet. So it's like it's immediately obvious that this isn't going to go the way everyone thinks it's going to go. Yeah, which was really cool. But it was neat the way that the armor was like simultaneously aged for it being 30 years later, but also being really specifically accurate to what we know about Boba Fett from the movies and comics and books and stuff. It was really sweet. The hydraulic hoses down his arm and the lights on his chest plate and stuff like that. Those are things that I definitely noticed. The little ding on his helmet and the ding on his left chest plate and the missile and everything. It was really cool.
It was so cool. It was incredible. I think it's hard for people who haven't this isn't me gatekeeping or me trying to keep any fans out, because I really am not one of those guys. I'm very grateful for all the new fans that are coming to Star Wars. I think it's great. Because all this stuff that we've been nerding about over years, we can finally share with people, and they don't give you that glazed over look, like, what the heck are you talking
about? Sure. Yeah, just like the Hunter Killer droid in season 1. Like, you can have an IG droid and show, like, the way they move and stuff. Yeah. Before, we read in, like, comics when we were kids, but you've never actually seen in action.
Yeah.
It was pretty neat. And
that's all stuff that...
For him to have a pod racer engine was so sick. That was there was just a lot of little things that tie the old... the old lore to what obviously the direction Star Wars is going in now, which is going to be just a ton of shows and a couple movies.
Yes.
There's so much tying them together.
And we're going to get into that later too. I want to know how you feel about
are really cool.
the shows, going into more shows. I think it is an
Yeah,
interesting
for sure.
way to go. But yeah, man, I 100% agree with you. It's you know, and like I was saying, it's like a lot of people don't understand it who haven't really grown up with it like we did. Like to be able to go from imagining
Yeah,
how Boba would fight, right? Like if he had to like get in a scrap, like a real scrap, how would Boba handle
right,
his own? And
right,
we had to just take our Boba Fett toys and
right.
handle our
Smack it into
business.
other
You
toys.
know?
Right, right,
And that was how you got your story. Really, I mean, I know it seems
right.
like kind of nuts, but that's really back in the day. I shouldn't say it like that, but yeah, like when we were kids, that's how we got our story with characters like that because we didn't have anything else to go off of. All we had was these little moments in movies or comic books or legends or any
Right.
little bits, any little anything we could get our fingertips on it. And then you get Boba Fett or a dude with Boba Fett's armor walking through the door like it's no big deal. Like it's just like
Right, right.
your brain freaks out. Like you're like, "Well, what? What the hell is going
Yeah.
on?" Sorry, what the heck is going on? What time is it? I need to make sure I write that down. I said a bad word. I said a bad word. Sorry, guys. Go back and take that out
God bless
in
America.
post. But yes. But you know, I really did like it though, and I like that they were pulling characters out of the books, and I mean they're pulling everything from the Dark Trooper. Oh, we gotta wait to get to that. That's a couple episodes away.
yeah.
But the Dark Troopers. Tell me you didn't lose it. Like,
Honestly, the only time I really lost it. Well, I don't even want. No, I'm not going to spoil it.
all right, we'll talk about it later.
There's
We'll
one
get into
time
it. Oh, we're
where I,
jumping
like,
ahead of
wanted
ourselves.
to
It got so good though. It's hard not to jump ahead. The show got so
Yeah,
good
no,
so quick.
there was a part where I like yelled at the TV, "Use this!" and then they
Yes.
used it, and I was like,
Yes.
"Ah!"
I can. I know the episode. I know that if anyone watching, if you have already watched through the second season, then you know the episode. But I do want to take it one step at a time for people who are kind of watching this, as they watch through it, just in case there's anyone
Yeah,
doing
for sure.
that. So, but I can't wait to talk about that episode. But yeah, so episode 1 of season 2, chapter 9. So now we've met up with Cobb Vanth, and we're about to have this shootout because, bro, you're wearing Mandalorian armor. We gotta figure this situation out. You can't just be wearing Mandalorian armor and take your helmet off. Like, now we gotta talk. And Mando, he ain't leaving without the armor. So, we're about to have this shootout, and then the Great Dragon rolls through town. Now, let's talk deep level nerd right now. A New Hope. Break it down for us, Adam. We're walking through the desert. We're in A New
There's a
Hope.
Great Dragon skeleton in New Hope.
Yes.
There's also, I don't remember if it's made explicit in the movie. I think it's not, but I don't know how I know. Maybe it's from the books, but the noise that Obi-Wan scares all the Tuskens away with is a Great Dragon call,
Mhm.
which there's no way to know that other than just knowing it. And then later, you've never actually seen or heard a Great Dragon, so this is the first time we hear one. And I thought it was cool how accurate Obi-Wan's call was, because the Great Dragon actually sounds a lot like Obi-Wan, just like flopping his cloak around going "Argh!" I thought that was pretty sick. But yeah, the Great Dragon is a big deal on Tatooine. It's kind of like a Thresher Maw in Mass Effect, or what's it, a sandworm in Dune.
Yes.
It's just like the mythological.
Yeah.
It keeps everybody in check by eating half the population.
By eating it, yeah, it's
While
the
people don't get
apex
too big for
predator.
their britches.
I thought the coolest part was, and again, I only know this from watching the gallery part, but it's arms and legs, I guess. Now, I will say this. I did some Wikipedia a little bit, guys. Some Wikipedia and some Star Wars fandom, because I just wanted to know where else the Great Dragon had popped up. So I did do a little bit of research. So this isn't all me just being a gigantic nerd. I did do research on this one. But so the Crate Dragon apparently, there's a couple different kinds of them. Now apparently at one point there was one left that could fly. Now this is from a comic book. I don't know which one. I'm so sorry, guys. I don't know which one. Um, but I guess in one of the comics, uh, there was like a rumor amongst the Sand people that they had saw the Obi-Wan taking down the last flying one. So there was one flying one left, and then there was like, oh, some old dude in the desert took him down, and apparently that was like supposed to be Obi-Wan killing off the last one, the last flying one, anyway. And then I guess this one that they had in this one is a greater crate dragon, and so these ones have legs, but you can't see them because they're so buried beneath. Like, so I guess in CGI when they made the monster, there's like a whole bunch of it that we don't see. We just see the head, so it looks like this big like sandworm, I guess. And but I guess it's got like legs and stuff too, which is crazy to think that it's bigger than we actually even saw. Like there's more of it.
Right.
So yeah, that was nuts. But yeah, that was really cool because talking about bringing stuff in from all over the place, the Great Dragons from A New Hope. I mean, that was just a skeleton that was lying in. You know what I mean? That's so cool to see that small detail, and for Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and who all the other people working on The Mandalorian who are awesome. Help me remember his name. Something Chung, something Chang. Oh, I'm not gonna remember. Either way, one of the guys who had worked on like the originals, who designed the ships, he's working on The Mandalorian, which is like, like this is the stuff that makes Star Wars so good. And Jon Favreau has said it himself. Star Wars is best when you just do exactly like what I had said earlier. You get your play box out, you get your toy box out, and you're like, ooh, this guy can fight this guy, and this guy can fight this. And we talked about this before on podcasts before or episodes before. That's what it's always meant. Why it's meant so much to us, because you can make the best Star Wars content when you do that. When you just play with your toy box, and that's what they did. They're like, oh, that little skeleton. What if they brought it to life? And it was like we got to see what it was like as a monster. I mean, again, if you're just coming into the Star Wars fandom, appreciate the stuff you're getting. Like,
Oh yeah, for sure.
Appreciate. We've been waiting. Yeah. We've been waiting years for stuff we didn't even know we were waiting for. That's where we're at right now with Star Wars. So it's amazing. But yeah, so we got to figure out a way to kill this thing because it's eating up half the town. It's eating the livestock. Typical monster problems, right? Like typical. There's a big monster in town issue. It's eating the people. We gotta get rid of it. So they team up with Sand People. So I think we were talking about this before the episode started. Yeah, so we can get a little bit, but I think it's really cool how we are seeing him, like, and I think it's great that we're seeing that it's like it doesn't matter. Like the only people he didn't seem to really jive with were the Jawas. He was like,
yeah, no, it is.
He was ready to burn them little suckers up.
Bandito hanging out with who gets along with the Indians. Like it's I don't know. It's because he doesn't immediately write them off as less than he is.
Yeah.
He understands that they have their own. It's not the same as his. What he defines as a society, but that doesn't make it. Less viable. It is interesting that he has a respect for them, even though we've seen in canon them be totally just savage.
Yeah.
But also from their perspective, this is their life. This is what they have to do in order to survive. It's not necessarily civilized, but it is what they, what their existence is.
I miss talking to you, man. I miss talking to you. You always say things.
It's pretty cool to see them like communicate with.
Yeah.
The fact that he has sign language that they understand and they have sign language that he understands shows that it's not like a new relationship either. Like he has the ability to communicate with a bunch of different walks of life, and I think that's interesting for something like Star Wars, because for as huge as Star Wars is as a universe,
Mm.
most creatures in it are super compartmentalized
Mhm.
and separate from each other. So
Mm.
I mean, you have the Empire that's super anti-alien, so it's all it is white people,
Mhm.
and you have like the Rebel Alliance who are more inclusive, but even they are like very quick to prejudge
Mhm.
things that that they see as evil.
Right.
Um,
Right. There is
and
prejudice in this giant
oh, for sure.
galaxy. I mean, it's not broken
Yeah,
down
yeah.
as much
No,
in.
everybody's super segregated, and
Yeah, and
there is a lot of that person, and those people that are capable of bridging those gaps are seen as like super
mhm.
sage, wise. Like you have Obi-Wan who can
Yes,
talk to all sorts of
Qui-Gon.
creatures and gain their respect, and Qui-Gon who doesn't write anybody off
Mhm.
other than Jar Jar,
No,
and there's a lot of
it seems that has a
there's a lot
respect
of
for all
that,
life. Doesn't matter, whether you're
right. Doesn't matter if it's intelligence.
Kaminoan
He
or
has respect enough to save his life, and
yeah,
yeah, it is. It's interesting because a lot of even Jedi wouldn't have the time of day for the Gungans, and they ended up saving the day. So it
yeah.
is really it's really interesting when somebody, even Din, who I don't consider Mandalorian to be a hero's story within the Star Wars universe, and that's part of what makes it interesting,
Mhm.
is that he's not by all definitions a good guy.
Mhm.
He's just also not a bad guy.
Mhm.
And so it's pretty interesting that he's able to, on one hand, interact with, high-minded force users, and then turn around and interact with sand people, and he's not doing it facetiously or disingenuously. He's truly doing it from a place of
Yeah.
humility,
One
and
of
that's
the
pretty
coolest
interesting.
lines I thought from that episode was when they start getting into it at the campfire and he's trying to calm them all down and he's talking to them in whatever language, the sand people,
Right.
and he's making the hand gestures and talking in sign language, and then Cobb's like, "What are you telling him?" And he's like, "The same thing I'm telling you, man. Like that we all got to work
Right.
together. Like we all got to figure
Right.
this
Right.
out. If we're gonna do what we need to do." And like you said, it's not the first time he's had to work with them. He knows their customs.
Right.
He knows what agitates them, what doesn't. So yeah, he's a man of the people, which I think is interesting. Like it doesn't matter where planet you're from, whatever, as long as like you said, they're same people are just trying to scrape out a living the best they can, and he sees
Right.
that, and I think that's
Yeah,
really
it's part of
really
what
cool.
makes him cool, and it's part
Yeah,
of what makes the show cool. I
yeah,
know a lot of people have the whole like, oh, it's another Mandalorian episode, so here's the formula. He's gonna find something he wants, and it's shiny, and that person's gonna say, no, I need help, and he'll say, fine, I'll help you, but only if I get the shiny thing.
hmm
And to a point, that's true. Like
to a
that,
point.
there's a formula that some of the episodes follow, but at the other end of that, you have to acknowledge that he's a unique character for
He's
Star
in,
Wars. He's
yeah,
not he's not truly written off in terms of like, well, that person can just die then.
hmm
And he also isn't a good guy. Like there's no way to mistake him for being a hero. So it
yeah.
is
I mean,
it's
that
pretty cool
episode
that
in on the prison ship when we first
yeah.
meet Bill Burr's character Mayfield. Shout out to Bill Burr for do it. You'll never listen to this show, but God, that man's amazing. Um, yeah, that was such a great role, Mayfield. But when he was on that ship, yeah, he spared every single one of those guys. I mean, he could have killed them.
Right. Yeah,
He
and I think
but
it's
that
interesting
wasn't
because
needed or
he doesn't
necessary.
want to kill anybody. Like
Yeah,
even if like it's someone who is gonna die anyway, he doesn't usually kill them himself
yeah.
unless it's part of what he's doing. But I'm trying to think. I don't think we've seen him kill too many people.
No, no. I mean, the funniest one was
Even
when
in
the
like
guy
big
tried to steal
fights,
his jetpack.
just stormtroopers.
Let him
Right.
fly up in the air. That was
Yeah.
hilarious. That
That
was
was
good.
hilarious. Yeah, and there are things that he'll do to defend himself or what he sees is worth defending, but
Yeah, and he
it's
sticks
not
to his code, and
right.
that's what I like about this journey that we go on through this second season. We explore Din's code, and we start to
Yes.
see where he allows those cracks to form. Well, no pun intended, but he does those
Right.
cracks, form. Let those cracks form in his armor. So
Right.
it is interesting where we go throughout the season because we do see where he starts to make those compromises and when he starts to waver on things, where he chooses to waver on those things. And the point I made, our last episode towards the end was, look at how Vader or Anakin wavered. What he was willing to sacrifice to get to the end point, to save, because they're both trying to do the same thing. He wants to save Grogu, or at least get him somewhere where he is safer. And Anakin wants to save Padme, and at one point in time his mother. And look what they were both willing to sacrifice to get those jobs done. Where on one end you have Din, who was willing to show his face and kind of break down the more harsher elements of his religion to soften that part of himself to be able to be more open for, I guess, what it eventually becomes his son, Grogu. Where Anakin, I mean, we see what he does. I mean, he sacrifices his humanity. I mean, he sacrifices everything that makes him good, or any bit of light that he has left in him. So it's just interesting to see that contrast. And like I said, last episode, I think it's great to see those unseen motifs, those unseen or unheard things that run through Star Wars. In the show. So, it's not, and that's where Dave Filoni and people who have been into Star Wars since the jump, that, that's where guys like them come in handy, because they can bring in those unheard and unseen things about Star Wars that keep us so, entranced by these characters and the things that they do. But man, just seeing that throughout the season and how he went about it. But in this episode, as we get towards the end, they figure out how to kill the Krayt Dragon. They got to blow it up from underneath, because obviously the shell would be too hard. The easiest way to do it is going to be out of the question. So we got to do it the hard way.
After a laugh out loud moment, the Tusken getting eaten instead of the bantha, I literally laughed like very hard. That was really. There's some parts of the show where you can tell they're trying to make you laugh, and I don't. But that part was just so.
That was so good.
It was really funny. It was good.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah, and then not only that, but like Grogu's like reaction to everything, because he can't talk, so it's like ears and stuff. Like his little reactions to like when this guy like gulped, you're like, that's hysterical. Like, and so we figure out how to blow him up. We got to pull him out. We got to pull the Krayt Dragon out. We got to blow it up from underneath. And of course, it goes seamlessly, right? Because every plan laid by mice and men goes unawry. That's all. That is, but no, that's not how it went. Of course, it went wrong. The Krayt Dragon got all over the place. They had to. So at the very end, now this is super spoilers.
They have giant crossbows somehow. That's what I was going to ask you about that. Where do you think they get wood from? I mean, they're on Tatooine. There's no vegetation. There's no moisture. I don't understand how they have crossbows.
Lucasfilms, Disney, we gotta talk.
Someone let me know.
We gotta talk, guys. Because I think Adam just broke.
That would be cool. But it's like actual, like you can see the wood.
Adam just broke the game.
But it's interesting because there's certain things in Star Wars that or in real life that don't exist in Star Wars until they do. Like you said, graffiti, you just think of, and it exists in the extended universe, but then all of a sudden it's on film. Or like paper never existed on screen in Star Wars until the flimsy pages of the Jedi holocrons. Like there's little things that don't exist. They never say the word gun until the new trilogy. Like there's just things you take for granted as like regular, humans watching it, but they don't actually exist in Star Wars. And
you know what I thought was interesting?
Wood,
because
those things on Tatooine.
Yeah, how'd they get it?
I know.
How'd they get it? Is it like that Tatooine used to be like a living
I don't
planet.
think so. I think
It
it's
died,
just
and then
instinct.
this is just
If
like
it
the
was like I
remnants.
said, if it was bone, that would be one thing. If it
Right.
was like something that, because it's the Tusken Raiders' giant crossbows. It's not like it's
Right.
uh
They got to be made out of
like they
bone or
use it
something.
as a method of survival, and they transport it on the back of those banthas, so like they
Where the
have
heck
it.
did they get the
Here's
wood?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me, but it's not like they traded for it or scavenged it. It's
Yeah,
wood. It's
it
legitimate
doesn't make
wood.
any sense. Oh
Yeah,
man, that just
and we've never. That's right. I'd have to go back and really look hard, but I'll bet you we've never seen wood on Tatooine before.
no.
We've seen like the clay houses, or not clay, but whatever you want to call
Yeah,
that,
whatever they call
plaster,
it. I don't.
and
Yeah, I
we've
don't know.
seen like lots and lots of metal and
But even inside the houses that are
Durasteel.
clay are like
There's
these
no wood.
elaborate, like futuristic look. Like that was what was so cool about it. It was like you were
Yeah,
in
it's
Egypt,
all
clay
yeah,
houses, but they had like wires and metal like
like
awnings
human
and stuff.
stuff.
It was super cool.
Yeah, there's. I mean, I'd have to really look hard frame
Yeah.
by frame, but I'll bet you there's no wood.
Wow. That yeah. I don't know. That's a good one. Where did they get the wood? That's good. Yeah, but well, they were able to shoot spears at this thing with wood. Where we
With
now
wood.
Adam, yeah, it came out of nowhere apparently, grew out of sand dunes. It's so funny. But yeah, so we were able to basically, try to fight this crate dragon, get it into a specific spot. It was not working. They were
Right.
doing a terrible job wrangling this thing up. So Mando,
Yeah, they're
very
bad.
last minute, hunkers himself down to a bantha, and and gets eaten up. And then of course, like Hercules, out of that
Which was
crazy
cool
thing.
because that's like super Boba Fett. Like,
Yes.
it's interesting that Boba Fett's armor is 20 feet away when that happens, because that's the last anyone saw of Boba Fett in the movies, is
Yeah.
getting swallowed up by the Sarlacc. So yeah,
Yes.
I thought that was cool. I
Yeah.
mean, it was a little bit more like, okay, I know what's about to happen, but
Mhm.
you have to remind yourself it's a TV show, and
Yeah.
some things are going to be predictable, and some
Predictable,
things
yeah.
are going to be sick.
The
And it
first
was
episode
cool.
I found
I like seeing all the capabilities the Krayt Dragon have, like the acid
that
spit
was
and
crazy.
the
Dude,
horns,
sometimes
the teeth.
Star
It was pretty cool to
Wars
see what it could do.
Star Wars gets dark sometimes. Like it's like
For sure. Yeah.
and when it does, like I was watching or Rebels. I was watching Star Wars Rebels. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was the Clone Wars. And in one of the episodes, like one of the inhibitor chips in the clone had gone like haywire. And so he like jumped off a building.
Yeah.
Bro, this is so dark. Like the dude just committed suicide.
I mean, we see like billions of people die in the first Star Wars.
Yeah, like even like
literally like 5 billion people die
Yes.
in the first ever Star Wars movie.
yeah,
It is pretty
it
crazy
gets
to think about.
super dark, and then when it does it quick, and then it comes out of it like so fast. Like when you're in a New Hope and you're on Tatooine, you're like, dude, are those your aunt and uncle burnt up in front of your house? Like Jesus, like, and then it's just like, well, let's get back to the regularly scheduled fun. Then we meet Han Solo in the next couple scenes. So it's like, what? Like,
Right.
what? But yeah, then all of a sudden people are melting with acid, and I was like, dude, that turned from like 5 to 11 in like 5
Right. Oh, yeah,
seconds.
real quick.
It was
Escalated
like
quickly.
that thing's scary,
It's
but
sick.
now like, oh my god, spitting acid at us. So like people are melting, trying to run away. Like, and the interesting thing is you have sand people kind of fighting alongside of these most Pelgo people. That's the part I kind of missed when reviewing the episode, is that they did kind of team up and settle their differences. Man, sand people, we won't go there. But either way, they settled their differences. We could learn a lesson from that, people. But yeah, it was really cool to see them fighting alongside. I mean, they got spit on by acid alongside together too, but
Right.
I mean, they fought valiantly, and eventually Mando does a self-sacrifice move, but we know it's It's first episode into the season, and Baby Yoda needs his daddy. So Mando wasn't going anywhere. So yeah,
it
his
was
armor gets
interesting
him
because I
through.
had heard a lot of rumors. Obviously, Star Wars is going to be rampant for people on the internet just going crazy, not knowing what's going to happen, but thinking they do. And one of them was that Pedro Pascal, like wasn't happy and, was maybe not going to play him anymore. And there was a lot of talk that this season, unlike the first season, had a lot of focus on characters other than Din. Whereas the first season was mostly Din.
Because they had to establish spin-offs. But anyway, continue.
Right. So I read like that one episode was not about Din, it was about Ahsoka, and then another episode was not about Din, it was about so and so. So like Din was more of a recurring character than the main character.
Okay.
So, and then there was another rumor that maybe he'll die. So when he did, there was a small part of me that was like, well, I mean, if he was going to die, the first episode would be the way to do it because that would be insane.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be. That would. Oh, God.
But yeah, obviously,
that would have been. Okay, especially when he's eaten by a dragon, and you're just, well.
Right.
So much for that.
Right. Yeah,
that
it was telegraphed a little bit, but it was cool to see how he hit Boba Fett's jetpack with his stick, because that's the jetpack that got damaged during the fight above the Sarlacc pit. Yeah. So it was kind of cool to see that it's still damaged in that way. I don't know how Din knew to hit it right there, but the fact that he like made him fly away by hitting that exact spot was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then the missile system with his little rangefinder on his helmet, that was sick too.
Cool. Again, guys, people, guys, girls, gals, in betweens, whatever. Listen, that was. If you're coming from a place of Star Wars was your childhood, seeing that rocket launch off of that man's back was crazy. Because it can do it. Like, we've seen, like, we know that's what it does. But it's just so cool to see it do it. You know what I mean? Like, to see it do the thing. And then the classic boop, 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 like, finding the range, it's like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It's so satisfying. So satisfying. At the very end, Cobb Vanth is a man of his word. The deal was you help us get rid of the Krayt Dragon. You get the
lets him keep all the meat and the pearls and stuff.
Yeah, you guys get the meat. That weird little pearl thing. That
was awesome. I wonder whether that has like some kind of, obviously not religious, but like
that's what value. So that's what I read today, that it has it holds some sort of ritualistic importance to the Sand People. It's super important to them. I guess because it's rarity, I would assume. How difficult they are, probably, because usually you probably can't get them till they're died naturally, right? That's usually probably how they come about them. So
it's not even there. Like maybe it has to die unexpectedly, or like while in its prime or something. Like if it's old, maybe it's not as easily available. It was interesting though. And the scale of it too. He's got like a giant hunk of steak on his speeder bike at the end.
Tell me you were like, that kind of looks good. Watching him burn that dragon meat, I'm like, dang, brother, gotta get some of that dragon meat. I've been barbecuing all this summer. I was like, I'll throw some of that on the smoker. Come on, that dragon meat looked good. And I love how they had the droids cooking it up. That was pretty cool. Speaking of, that was like
final shot of. Well, I mean, I don't know if a lot of people would know, who he was, but that final shot of Boba was pretty sick too.
Yeah. It was funny because my mother-in-law. I don't know if you're gonna watch this, Tina, but if you do, then this is the shout out that you requested. So there you go. Shout out done. If she watched it. And I was like, oh, man, all excited about the episode. And I was like, in the end, right? And she's like, yeah, the end. And I'm like, right? Like, oh, my God, Boba Fett. She's like, wait, what? It's like, yeah, Boba Fett. She was like, oh, I thought you were just like, the end was cool. Like, there was some guy. I didn't know it was Boba Fett. So I'm like, imagine watching this, right? and you don't know who that is.
It goes right over your head.
And it goes right over your head. Imagine that. Like, you're watching this and you're like, cool, some guy.
Yeah.
No clue that this guy has played all the clones. He played Jango Fett. Like, this is the dude.
Yeah.
Completely goes over your head. That must be so strange.
Did you see the video of him doing the haka?
Yes.
That was sick.
That
was
cool.
Really cool.
I mean,
I love hakas. Those are one of those weird things that everybody's like, these are crazy. That actually like get me emotionally revved up every time I see
I'll
one.
tell
Those
you
things
what.
Are so
there was
sick.
one I saw where they did it at a wedding, and even me, who like typically will just watch stuff on the internet and be like, yeah, cool, whatever. I got a little choked up. I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Where they did at like their teammate's funeral. I was like, oh my god, the brotherhood.
Yeah,
like, it doesn't actually.
It's intense, and it's
pretty. It's one of those things that it's really cool, especially since there's like no shame. Like they're not thinking about, oh, I wonder what I look like right now. They're just like all.
You're all in, all into it. That's what I think is so cool about it. Is the emotional. Help me out. Raw in the past term. Yeah. In the past tense, I mean. I can't think of the word. But either way, it's just and then him bringing that into the character, and then they worked it into his fighting style. I mean, that was really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
And
it was awesome.
Because help me with his name, because I always mispronounce it.
I don't know. I always pronounce it wrong, I'm sure. I always pronounce it Tamura.
Yeah. I was going to say Tamura. I always say it wrong. So I was hoping you would get it wrong first. You get it wrong first.
I'm sure it's not Tamura, but that's the way I would sound it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a badass. And it's crazy too, the week we finally get like
your naughty words.
Boba Fett
what's
back,
my time
we
stamp?
lose the OG Boba Fett actor. Passed away like literally the week Boba Fett came in. Mandalorian, the original actor, passed.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is it's a full circle. Star Wars, only Star Wars could do that to you type thing. But no, it was a cool first episode for sure. There were parts of it where I was like, well, whatever. And then there were other parts where I was like, okay, that's why I like this show. So
I'll even say even when the show is being a show, right? Like when it's being a predictable television show, it's not the worst one I've ever watched. In fact, it's probably one of the better ones I've watched. You know what I mean? Sure. So even when it's doing the things that I know it's going to do, like I know Mando's going to heroically pop out of this dragon's stomach. But I still want to see it.
Sure. And I think that, too, you got to take everything from a different lens. Like, we know that because we're jaded and we've been watching stuff for, 30 years. Whereas if I was a kid watching this, my mind would be
the most fun thing in the world is watching The Mandalorian with my brother-in-law Conrad, who's about 11. It's so much fun. It's so much fun because he's so excited about all of it, everything. And next week, when we get together, is it next? Don't jump the gun, Chaz. I don't know. I can't remember the second episode. I want to say that's where we get introduced to some characters out of the animated series, but it's either 2 or 3. I can't remember.
Can't either.
No. It's actually I'm sorry. We actually
because 2 is the frog.
Yes, 2 is next episode is actually surprisingly one of my favorite episodes, just because how silly it was.
Yeah, there were some parts of the next episode where I was really like, okay, what the hell just happened? But then there were other parts where it was sick too.
There was some moments where I was like, really cool. It's getting uncomfortable. And
then there were other parts where I was like, I don't know.
It's getting uncomfortable. Yeah, how attracted am I to frog? This is getting weird. There's like parts in the hot tub where you're like, okay, either this is going one way.
Yeah, you're like, are they gonna bang right now?
This is either gonna go one way or a whole different direction. So that got really interesting. But I had some moments too where I was like, this frog lady is weird. But Speaking of that frog lady,
Not only that, yeah.
I can't think of what her species is called, so I'm sorry, guys, for saying frog lady. Next week when we actually review the episode, I will know what species he is. But during that episode, I just thought it was really neat because that same woman who plays that, who's actually inside of that animatronic suit, she was the same person who was inside of Quill. She was basically Quill. She's the one who was able to play all those subtleties and all that stuff with her body language. And I believe she did one other character in the show, but I'm drawing a blank. So I'll have her name as well, so I don't sound as much like someone who doesn't know what they're talking about. But yeah, shout out to everyone who works on that show, who does such a great job with those little tiny things, those small roles and those little side things that make it so complete. I mean, I genuinely don't think that unless you've been watching the animated series, like, it's hard to think of the last time we got this much character development that wasn't in the video game.
And there's just so much, like you said, Filoni and Favreau are handling it in a way where you can tell they just love the material. Like, they're openly inviting George Lucas to come on set. And
the picture of George Lucas holding Baby Yoda
are really cool.
Yeah, that's basically life. Him holding Baby Yoda. There were multiple times in the season. I'll call them cry moments. I cried. They got me a couple times in the season. But it gets good, guys. It gets so good. Chapter 9, which is also episode 1. Ice cream maker. Say that again, I'm sorry.
When they showed the flashback, they showed Timothy Olyphant running away with the barrel that has the purple rocks in it that he trades to the Jawas for the Boba Fett armor.
Yeah.
And that little barrel is like, I read something about Jon Favreau just loving it. It was like a little ice cream maker from the 70s, and it's in Empire.
Yeah.
Like, you can see this little tiny can ice cream maker thing in Cloud City when all the citizens are running away because Lando told them to evacuate.
Yeah.
And it's just like a weird little thing that no one would ever notice. Even like super Star Wars fans wouldn't really notice it. And but because Jon Favreau is such a huge fan, and he couldn't believe that he found an ice cream maker that was just like it, he had to put it in The Mandalorian. So yeah, little things like that are super neat, and hopefully we catch enough of them that we're credible Star Wars nerds as we go through each episode.
This is probably one of my favorite stories in all of Star Wars fandom, because it shows and I'm gonna connect all the way back to The Mandalorian with this, but just the story that Adam just told is one of my favorites, right? If you go back, watch Empire Strikes Back, it's one of the scenes where the alarm's going off, Bespin's going crazy, everybody's kind of like running around, and you'll see this one guy who's in the background, who's running. His name is Wilro Hood. Wilro Hood. Mm-hmm. And he just has an ice cream maker. And he's running off.
He's just running.
He's running. And he's holding this ice cream maker. Now, fans in Star Wars, if you are new to the Star Wars fandom, we will make everyone a character. Canon. You are a canon. If you step a foot into that now,
Mandalorian, we get Gene's guy.
That's where I was going. That's where I was going. That's where I was going to connect it, is that we will turn anyone into a canon character. Yeah. Now, Gene's guy is probably my favorite character in Star Wars, period. Yeah. Period. He's my favorite Star Wars character, because the minute we saw him, we don't see mistakes. We see, oh, well, that's a character. Right. And he must just be a guy. Right. Now there's a whole backstory about how a guy got all the way to the Star Wars universe, and he's a Gene's guy. It's amazing. Yeah. That's what is so good about Star Wars, is that there's a guy running in the background with an ice cream maker, because the ice cream maker looks somewhat futuristic. Turns out it's this ridiculously hard ice cream maker to get. Nobody can get it. Finally, Jon Favreau finally gets it. They use it as a prop in the show almost 40 years later.
40 years later, yeah.
Yeah, 40 years later. You can't get any better than that. That's why The Mandalorian is so good.
It is really cool. It's I have a buddy who's a friend of mine who makes like custom one of a kind action figures,
Mm-hmm.
which I guess is kind of a trend now. But
Yeah.
he'll design and print one character or one figure, and
Yeah,
then he'll
I'd love
sell
to
it,
shout him out on the show,
in an
man.
auction. And
But if
then
we can show off some of the stuff on our
he'll donate
Instagram.
it. But he made one of Gene's guy. So there's like a Star Wars action figure that he made. There's
Are
only
you
one of them,
serious?
and it's Gene's guy. Yeah.
He only made one?
His tag Instagram is Wicked Joyful.
Wicked
But,
Joyful. I'll make sure I add a link. Wicked.
But not a Star Wars Bill Burr, just Bill Burr. But yeah, he made a Gene's guy action figure.
That's
and
amazing.
He makes some that he keeps, and he makes some that he sells. Like
That's
he made
amazing.
one of the reason I know him. I mean, shout out to nerds everywhere. But he and I are both in the Weezer fan club, and
Yes.
he made one. I think one of the first ones he made was like a custom of Rivers Cuomo from the cover of the Blue album. Like
That's
he just
so
makes
sick.
weird little custom figures. He just made one of Run the Jewels. Like and he sells them, and like celebrities post them and follow him and buy them and stuff. But he's a really cool dude. So he's from New Hampshire. But Wicked Joyful is his tag. But he made one of Gene's guy that I thought was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
He's a cool dude.
Yeah, I'll make sure I put him in the description if you guys want to go take a look at his stuff. And maybe you can convince him to make you a custom jeans guy.
Yeah, he's I'm sure he's got a back order, but he's just following him and seeing the stuff he makes is really cool. He's a cool dude. That's
awesome. Yeah, any fellow nerds out there who do cool stuff, I'm into it. Like, I was checking out some of those guys from the 501st, and they're like armor and stuff. Man, they get into it. They get so into it. It's so cool, the stuff that they pull off. And then I was even looking at one Instagram today of a guy who just messes around with toys and recreates scenes from the movies. It's so cool. I'm like, and he had like a picture of his setup, and it was so like 4 different cameras and like these massive scenes, and I'm like, and he does it just for fun. It's just because he enjoys it.
Yeah, that's all this guy does. He doesn't. I might be wrong, but I don't think he keeps any money from any of it. I think the ones he has sold, he donates the money from.
Oh wow!
Or
that's
he like
so cool.
gives them to the person they're modeled after, and they get a kick out of it.
That's so cool. Well, big shout out then. Yeah. Big shout out for sure to at Wicked Joyful. Go check him out, guys. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, Uncle Owen and Aunt Peru, and it's just like one skeleton and then another burnt skeleton. Like he does.
Oh, you showed me that picture a while ago.
Yeah,
that's so funny. Yeah, I didn't know he made those. That's so funny. I thought that was just like a meme you found online or something.
No, this is my buddy. Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. That's really cool.
Well,
I remember you showing me that picture.
Guy episode. Maybe we can. I'll have to talk to him. I don't want to like tease it if it's not going to happen, but it would be pretty cool to interview him.
That would be awesome. Oh my god, it'd be so cool to get him on episode. See kind of where he gets his inspiration from.
Just to talk about positivity. Like he's just a cool dude in general.
That's awesome. Yeah, we got to get him on the show.
I'm having trouble finding Gene's guy, of course. But he did make a Bill Burr called Space Boston Billy. He's got like a Sam Adams. Yeah.
I will say a lot of the memes I've been seeing seeing about Bill Burr in Star Wars are really funny. Very funny.
No, he's a funny guy. He only made 5 of these ones. They're individually numbered.
Oh wow. That's awesome.
He sells them online. He's hilarious, and some of his ideas are really hilarious and unique. I'll send you his profile, but it would be cool. I wonder if he's interested, because he's actually like being mentioned on the Nerdist and stuff right now, and he's a comedian too. So he does a lot of things that are way above our pay grade. But because I know him, maybe he'd come. That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be good.
He has like
if he could show his love to us little people.
Like He-Man with a Mandalorian helmet on. Like he just does
that's neat.
stuff.
I love that. Yeah, well, at Wicked Joyful. Yeah, guys, if you guys happen to be on Instagram tonight or when you listen to this and you want to see some cool custom toys, check it out, guys. He sounds like a really cool guy, someone we want to have on our show
Yeah,
soon.
he's hilarious.
Guys, it's been an hour. It goes so fast. It really does. But today we were able to really kind of get into what I really wanted to do with these episodes. Is kind of bring that, because that's what The Mandalorian is doing so well. Casual fans, diehards like us, we can meet in the middle and we can land on this show, which has been great. There's no need for us to be fighting each other over The Mandalorian. Everybody loves it. Everyone loves Grogu.
Unless you're Andy.
It's great.
I'll fight
Unless
Andy
you're,
over it.
unless you're, he likes it.
Oh, I don't care. I'll just fight him. I don't need a reason.
Just
Bring him on. We'll have a cage match.
Oh my gosh. You know what I want to do actually is I want to get Jared on again with me and you, and then maybe like
Jared's been playing Battlefront. I haven't been playing with him because he's playing on PC, but he's
Yeah.
been playing Battlefront, and he has mods. So he
Yeah.
has one where he was running around as like George Lucas with a lightsaber.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, we got to get
Yeah.
it back on the live stream then. And then we got to get Will involved and Chris involved and
Oh yeah, Chris.
get all
Yeah,
the
for
guys
sure.
involved. Real quick before we go, guys, if you guys don't know this, because you probably don't, Adam's actually my son's godfather, and at this point, my daughter's godfather too, really. And he got him this. I had to show it off, dude. I'm sorry, I had to show it off. He got him this Boba Fett toy for Christmas. Can you guys see this? I just had
Dude,
to
that
show
thing,
off.
I almost kept that.
Dude, I'm surprised you didn't. That's why it's in my office right now, not upstairs being played
It was
with.
so sick. I
like
was,
toys
looking at it,
should.
I was like, man, I might keep this.
Yeah, right? Like, it's one you give. You've all had that gift that you're gonna give. You're like, I guess this could stay with me. This was Adam's gifts that year, where he almost didn't get it. Almost didn't get to my house. But guys, you have to check it out. So when you pretend to fly with him, he makes the noise on him. Come on, and then he's got the gun on the side. Look at that, guys. And it lights up. And then that's not it. You would think that was all. He's got the button on this. Hold on. Yeah. Now my son, who's just turned 3, has been going around the house saying "as you wish" to everybody. But yes, this is. And then look at, guys. Come on. It has the blaster in the holster. He got one on the hip, y'all. It was such a cool toy. I had to show it off. Where'd you get this from?
Disney store. It was crazy. I went into Disney store because I had some I don't know, buy this much and save this much voucher. And I went before River's birthday, and they had a setup at the front with just I don't know what size that is, probably 12-inch action figures.
Yeah.
And they were they had Boba Fett. I almost got him Kylo Ren because Kylo Ren was sick too, but I figured I didn't need to be responsible for him poking his eye out with a lightsaber, so Boba Fett was probably safer. But I got Rivers Spider-Man that same day, the same type of action figure where it talks and stuff. Mm-hmm. And the Spider-Man shoots out webs and
oh my gosh, that's so cool.
The Boba Fett one's actually cooler, objectively cooler. But I got Rivers a Millennium Falcon for Christmas that has the cockpit rolls out and you can put
you were showing me pictures, dude.
And it came with BB-8 and DO, and it makes the thrusters light up and it makes noises and stuff, and the turret shoots out.
They get all the good toys now, man.
Yeah,
it's because the technology is so different.
Sick. I would have killed for it. Although I got to be honest, I do remember that Millennium Falcon from when we were kids. That was the Kenner Millennium Falcon.
Oh yeah.
And one of my friends had it. Well, not even a friend, just the kid of one of our babysitters.
Right.
And I was so jealous of that thing. That thing had the floorboards came out and you could.
Yeah, my cousin in California had one, and I hated him.
That was maybe the coolest thing I've ever seen. He also had the R2-D2 where you could look through the you could hold it up to the light and the little blue Princess Leia came out of it, and he had Force Ghost. I almost said Space Ghost. He had Force Ghost Obi-Wan. He had the coolest Star Wars.
It's the year of Space Ghost,
that
isn't
Millennium
it?
Falcon was 11 out of 10.
Yeah.
Oh, and he had TIE Fighter for his computer, so I used to smoke TIE Fighter all the time. Yeah, I remember that.
So cool.
That was man, this is like this is like an acid trip memory. This is like 25 years ago. Remembering he had the joystick on his computer, so I could play TIE Fighter with the joystick.
Oh, dude, that's so sick.
That's actually when I got into Dark Forces too, which is to this day probably my favorite Star Wars video game franchise. That and KOTOR.
Yes.
But yeah, no,
we have to take a whole episode just to talk about KOTOR.
Oh, just talk games, especially because of all the games that are going to be coming out, and books. I mean, we talked about it off mic, but the High Republic book came out.
Yes, that's true. I had meant to mention that. I had thought to mention that. We got so into the Mandalorian, I forgot that completely. Yeah, guys.
There's going to be High Republic content in Squadrons, which I know we're going to talk about Squadrons, but yeah, there's.
Well, did you see that they released? And I'll have pictures next time. But they released. Along with the High Republic books, pictures of new ships. Look them up when you get a chance. High Republic ships, dude. The Jedi, like the new Jedi, like cruiser that they have for like back then. Oh my gosh, man! Of course, it's like high. So it's funny because like with Star Wars, like the closer you get to like what we see, by the time like we see Star Wars, this is the universe that's kind of like old now. So like the High Republic is, or like what we know as like the old, Republic, that's like what the height of technology, of everything. So everything's slick, everything's clean, everything just looks super futuristic, and it's amazing.
Yeah, this is part of like when the Sith had been gone for thousands of years. Like there's no real deep conflict. All the conflict they have is like disputes. So it is. So that's a really interesting time.
Exactly. That's what makes it so interesting, right? Is that when I just started reading Master and Apprentice, which is the kind of origin story to Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. It meets them they're
literally just like lawyers, like mediators, like they're to settle like an assassination attempt. That one was pretty good too.
Yeah. Oh, cool. You read that one. Awesome. We'll have to talk about that one then. We'll have to break that one down for people because they got to get into that stuff.
Because Obi-Wan rides around on, I'm not gonna remember the name of him, but that thing that he rides on Utapau.
Yes.
Revenge of the Sith. He rides around on one of those in Master and Apprentice. So
it's make that crazy noise or whatever. That was sorry, guys.
Giant lizard chicken. Yeah.
Don't make weird noises
cool because he rides one way back in Master and Apprentice, and that sort of shows his.
Go read Master and Apprentice, guys. It's so good. Young Dooku, young Qui-Gon, young Obi-Wan, like stuff that you're asking for that you don't know you already have the answers to. Is out there. So
and it shows like it's not just about like literally hopping on and riding it. Like he has a force connection with the creature.
It was
like
that so it's so funny you mentioned that. I just got through that, so I'm not done with the book yet. So don't tell me how it ends. I just got through that scene, and it was really interesting because there's this whole thing. Oh gosh, how do I talk about it without spoiling it? Anyway, Obi-Wan's not quite like he is now. Right, when he was younger, he was a bit different.
Yeah, he's rash. Yeah, yes. He's young and hot-headed,
and much more devout to the Jedi Order. Not that obviously Obi-Wan's the most Jedi of all time, and we'll have that discussion later in the show. But I mean, he is the most Jedi, and without question. And so, yeah, his whole story arc, he becomes not less. He sees some of the cracks in the Jedi Order as he gets older.
He just,
I guess the way I should say.
Qui-Gon teaches him how to
see past the absolute, right?
Like not skeptical to the point of disbelief, but skeptical to the point of knowledge.
Yes.
Like he teaches him the importance of educating himself.
Yeah. And we learned some really interesting things about Qui-Gon and what he could have been,
like his
with the Jedi Order had he chose to take a different route.
Yeah.
So we actually, you know what? We're gonna have to make a plan to talk about because we'll wind up going to a whole nother hour if we if we start getting into Master and Apprentice. But guys, it is by Claudia Gray. Go read Master and Apprentice if you haven't had a chance to. If you haven't had a chance to read any of the books that have come out. You're really missing out. You really got to catch up if you can. Start with the Aftermath series. I would read the book Tarkin is a great one. Sith Lords is another good one. Yeah, read some books, guys. Also, thank you. Big shout out to Adam again for turning me on to what's the name of the app? Marvel Unlimited. Dude.
Oh yeah.
So good. I'm catching up on everything. Thrawn comics,
yeah.
like Boba Fett comics, everything.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And it's all right there.
Yeah.
From way back ago. So that was a plug that I didn't need to make. I guess they're not giving us any money.
Yeah,
guarantee Marvel Unlimited ain't giving us $1. But wow, what a cool app. Like you can get so many comics from so long ago. I'm catching up on everything, man. Legends, canon, and it breaks it down for you. What's Legends, what's canon. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Right.
So yeah, guys, go check out Marvel Unlimited on your phone, app stores, whatever. I'm not gonna plug them. They know how you know how to get to them. But yeah, guys, always come and tune in to us because they have millions of followers. We don't, so you have to follow us so we can get to that millions of followers point. But I'm Chaz. I'm here every week to talk to you guys about Star Wars. Wednesdays, Sundays, I'm going to try for. We're mixing around. We have families. We do what we can. But we will try to be here for you so we can break down these high-level Star Wars theories, these crazy, lofty Star Wars things where you guys are new to the fandom or you've been around a while and you need just some new light and clarity on things. We're going to shine that light for you. Adam, thanks for coming, man. I'm so glad to talk to you.
I'll be here every single one. I don't care. You know me. I'm glad that we get the chance to talk about cool things instead of the world.
Instead of the world.
I'd rather talk about a galaxy far, far away than anything closer than that. So, no, it was.
I agree with
there's
you.
a lot to go over from Star Wars right now. There's so much. You know, we just had D23, and they talked about all the things that are going to be coming out, and there's no shortage of Star Wars information.
So much good stuff. So much good stuff. Yeah. New toys coming out. Me and Adam.
For sure.
We love toys.
Comics.
We're big kids. So as you can see on the desk here, we got our toys. So some of these I actually got from Adam. I got some pins from Adam. So I'll have to show off those too. Because a friend of yours made those too, right? Those pins.
Yeah, so. He's at PinXTizzle, Tizzle. I think we actually gave a few away as part of our.
We gave away some prizes
way back when.
Way back.
Yeah,
we gave away
made
prizes.
A couple,
maybe we'll do some
really
again.
Cool Obi-Wan pins.
Hello there.
He's the man too, for sure.
General Kenobi. Yes. We have a lot of great friends. Shout out to Chris Croce, who's putting together some music for us for the show. That was completely unnecessary and not needed, but he did it out of kind of his heart, and it's coming out really great too. You see that video I sent you? He's crazy, man.
Oh yeah,
I miss Chris so much, man. He's such a good guy. But
we were joking around a couple weeks ago because his wife is pregnant.
Yeah.
So we were talking about.
Congrats, Chris.
He said the first name's Baby, the middle name's Yoda, last name Croce. Yeah.
I love Chris, man. He's shooting for May 4th too. He's like, man, if I can get May 4th for the due date, I'm down. I'm laughing, dude. He's the man.
Oh, if he gets May 4th, he's got to name him like Lucas.
It's got to be.
Yeah,
it's got to be. He's got to be able to get something. And Kara's pretty cool, so I'm sure he can squeeze something out.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. Shout out to Chris Croce, man. Congrats on the new baby. That's super exciting. I'm super happy for you. All of my friends who are now getting to that age, we're getting to our 30, and you're having kids, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Because I'm like, you know, we had our kids a little bit earlier, so it's nice to see them all now coming into the fold and like, ha ha ha, like sitting there with your fingers like you don't even know.
Yeah, for sure.
But at the same time, you're like, it's going to be the best thing that's ever happened to you. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Welcome to madness, that hood, where 1 minute you want to smack them, and then the next minute they're the best thing that's ever happened to you. So, yeah, no, congrats to Chris. Shout out to all our great friends, Will, Chris,
except
Jared.
Andy. No shout out to Andy.
No shout out to Andy, only shade. Only shade. Only shade to Andy. We gotta get him on the show. Kevin too, Paulino, over the road. Be safe out there driving trucks, man. I know you listen, even when we were doing a podcast way back when, so make sure you're being safe out there. But yeah, guys, the world's crazy. Be safe. We don't want to get heavy. That's what the show is about, but you guys know what's happening in the news, so just make sure you stay safe, stay smart, and I guess the best thing about Star Wars is the little guy wins sometimes, right? That's the whole thing, is that the system seems overwhelming. Imagine the grind that is the Empire, like the massive sweltering storm of stormtroopers and TIE fighters and just strength that they showed. I mean, it's the Empire.
Yeah.
A couple rebels, man. A couple rebels were able to take down 2 Death Stars. So you guys.
Yeah. We just have to destroy the Death Star.
Yeah.
It's not that big.
Not that big. Yeah. No big deal.
All you need is one really well-fired proton torpedo. It's just like we used to blast Womp Rats back home. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. Just like the Wants in his T-16.
Beggars Canyon.
Beggars Canyon. The good old days. Guys, it takes hope, right? So let's make sure you got that. Stay hopeful. And we end this time around. I'm doing it differently than the first time around. We're ending with Star Wars quotes. Adam, Star Wars quote. I didn't prepare Andy last time either, and his was terrible. So I want to see what yours is. His was bad.
Andy's sucked.
Andy's was bad. You'll have to go watch that. I'm not even gonna bring it back up, guys. If you watched last episode, you know how unprepared he was. So we're gonna let that go.
I don't think I can watch it. That means I have to watch Andy's face for an hour. Star Wars quote. Remember, fear leads to anger, and anger leads to hate. And hate is the path to the dark side. Everything's going to be okay.
No better way to end that.
Rebellions are built on hope.
Rebellions. That was going to be mine. You read me, because that was mine. Rebellions, guys, are built on hope. And with that, may the Force be with you. I'm Chaz. That is Adam. And we are talking Sith. You guys have a good night and stay safe.
Dewanga.